Okay. Little different start to the podcast today. There's no simulcast this week. And so it's me and Big Shrimp on today. Big Shrimp, say hello before we jump into the depth of the pie here.
What up?
So, real quick before we actually say what's happening, this is going to go up Friday on Big Shrimp Radio and on my podcast, the Hodgepodge Podcast. I'm also going to be re-airing it into the interview part of my podcast on Monday. So you're going to be hearing this twice, three times, whatever, because I just think this needs to be cleared out and how we feel. Um, so I guess it was recording this on Wednesday. So I'm guessing last night of some sort. Um, TMZ released audio and a video of Morgan Wallen using some uh, racial slurs, uh, and we're here to comment on that and give our thoughts on that since we are a music podcast.
Yeah, absolutely. It's an interesting dynamic. But first and foremost, obviously, neither Hodge or myself condones usage of such language and vernacular.
Yeah.
Um, so how I found out about it was I I was going through YouTube and I found that Bobby Bones made a statement. So I watched that video and then I immediately went to the TMZ video and watched it. And then I watched Morgan Wallen's apology. So I have a lot of thoughts about it. Um, I'm not a fan of Morgan Wallen personally. Now, producer Hodge is,
Yeah.
and it's it's not a not for any particular reason. It's just his music and myself, we just don't really click that well. He has a couple of songs I like. Whiskey Glasses is one of them, but not very many of his songs I like. When it comes to artists who have blown up recently and um, had a meteoric rise to success, um, he's right there with Luke Combs. I'm more of a Luke Combs kind of guy. But be that as it may, whether you're a fan or not a fan of Morgan Wallen, this affects our community as a whole, and it's hurtful. It's shameful. And when Bobby brought it up to Amy, because Amy apparently uh, has a lot going on in her personal life and isn't able to really keep up with the news, as soon as he told her what had happened, you could see the shock and the hurt in her face all at once. And then Eddie um, mentioned, yeah, when this doesn't, you don't just make up words when you're drinking, it's already in you. And when I watched the video of what Morgan Wallen said, there was more than just the N word. He used other profane words, which, whatever, everybody curses, but it was clearly having an altercation with someone else. Now, what got me by surprise was this was out in the open. It looks like it was in Antioch, part of Nashville. So I was also surprised to see what part of town he lived in. And then, furthermore, that he would put himself out there in public and behaving in such a manner. And I'm going to say it may give me a lot of heat, but a lot of times people, when they get famous and find success, they don't really know how to adjust their behavior accordingly to represent everybody around them. Because make no mistake, anybody that has a name uh, and has success. They've got a team around them. Even though it's the brand, it's that person that the world sees by and large. There's a whole lot of folks behind them that helps to make them who and what they are. And so his whole team looks bad, and our genre, the country music format, looks bad. It's going to make people that already felt like, oh, country music fans, rednecks, and country folks, they're racist anyways. This is going to reinforce that in a lot of people's minds, which is really unfortunate. This isn't the first time Morgan Wallen has found himself in controversy as of late. I know a few months ago it was the when the pandemic first happened, he was reckless and careless, making out with random girls on video without the mask, and then he had an altercation at Kid Rock's bar in Honky Tonk on Broadway, got kicked out of the bar, and then now this, and the guy is obviously uberly successful and uberly popular because for most new artists, one strike, maybe two, you are cast into obscurity usually. But this guy has um, had his share of mistakes. He's human, and he has been able to stay relevant and to keep his music going and keep putting out number ones. So where do we go from here? I don't know. Like Bobby Bones, I'm not big on cancel culture. I think it's ridiculous how society has embraced cancel culture altogether. I told Hodge this morning, I said, look, I don't want the guy to lose his job. I mean, I don't. But there needs to be some type of consequence paid. Um, and um, and Bobby Bones said he's not a cancel culture guy, but he's a go away and separate myself, for a little while kind of guy. I think that's what needs to happen. I think
I think that's what's
Morgan Wallen needs to separate himself.
yeah, I think that's what's going to happen. I saw the video last night. But of course, you don't really think it's the person they say it is just because it's paparazzi and it's whatever, it's hearsay. Um, but once the news actually was coming in this morning, and I'm going to read some of the things here, articles, but I'm losing his record deal, getting kicked off country radio, getting kicked off country music television. So now you know that and then of course his apology. Um, this is something real, and I do think that's what's going to happen. He's going to leave. He, well, I don't know. I don't know Morgan Wallen personally. I know a couple of my friends are friends with him, and I'm thinking maybe some kind of therapy, some kind of rehab. Because let's be honest, he's a young guy. He's a young guy is the second biggest thing in country music now, besides Luke Combs. That I kind of take this as a child actor, even though he's nowhere near a child, but it's just he's still young and he's still stupid. Like I'm young and I'm stupid. I'm gonna make mistakes, and I'm obviously gonna be like, I don't care if I make mistakes. But then that I don't care mistake attitude, that repertoire is going to hurt you in the long run. And like you said, I have some black friends that listen to country music, and they're like, um, I don't understand what people think racist about it. I don't talk about it. And then stuff like this happens, and then they're like, oh, wait a minute. Maybe this is why. But in a positive note, I'm not gonna get to the positive note. I'll get to that later. But in me, I am deeply saddened. I am deeply I'm hurt. I'm disappointed. I'm pissed. Really, I'm really, really pissed because it doesn't matter. Okay, like though that word. is not in my vocabulary because, like a lot of people know, I grew up in a household where that word was not a curse word. I grew up in a
Yeah,
town.
that word, it's not just a word. Like, you hit your thumb with a hammer when you're hammering your nail, you might
Yeah.
say, "Oh shit" or "Oh crap,"
Hmm.
but the N word is a word you purposefully either have to consciously say it, or it's a word you just say all the time. It's already in you, and it's just a word you're comfortable with. And either way, it's not okay. Obviously, if you're comfortable with it, you need help on a whole different level. But if it's a word that you just say just for shock value, or just because you want to say because it's that hurtful, or because you're that angry, and you catch yourself before you say it, and you know you're going to say it, and you say it on purpose, that's that's pretty harsh. It's pretty bad too.
Yeah, and on the point that you mentioned, he was drunk. So what? It's
Yeah,
like,
that's what I want to
is
say.
is it that kind
That,
of like
that
they kind of call alcohol like a truth serum? Like once people are drunk, you can actually ask them something, they're actually going to tell you the truth. you know?
yeah, the truth comes out. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's what I wanted to say. Is what I've noticed is the common denominator between each of the three times Morgan Wallen has found himself in controversy. Um, and just the last year, alcohol has been involved. Um, which this isn't a podcast where we condemn alcohol. Obviously, I'm a recovering alcoholic. Thank you to Bobby Bones, and thank God for helping me to recover, and Bobby for inspiration. But it really is amazing to me that alcohol um, can be purchased so easily and limitless, and yet we see how it ruins. It has the potential to ruin lives. Obviously, it doesn't ruin everybody who drinks it. A lot of folks that can consume it and be okay, but there are a lot of folks that they really struggle with their alcohol, and it brings out the worst in them. And it looks like, unfortunately, for Morgan Wallen, alcohol brings out the worst in him. So maybe he needs to uh, get some help with this, with putting down the bottle, or be a little bit more wise about when and where he drinks, and maybe make it more of a private thing than a social one. I don't know, but you said he got dropped from his label. I know
Yeah.
radio stations aren't playing him right now. A lot of folks are distancing themselves from him. This may have done it. I don't think it has. I think he'll bounce back because he's that good, and he's got that wide of a fan base. But I wonder how many more mess ups can he afford to have before he's just relegated to being a permanent independent artist with a select niche audience.
Well, that's the
And I
thing.
don't wish that for him.
Yeah, that's the thing because it's like he apologized when the thing of going around the bar, he was making out with these girls during COVID. During the height of COVID, he apologized. Then came this racial slur and then an apology. And it's like, okay, that was two apologies in 2 or 3 months. What's going to happen now? And I'm hoping this being dropped and just all of a sudden kind of being a nobody again. I'm hoping this
Yeah.
will set him on a straighter path. And I'm hoping it doesn't become like the Axl Rose of country music, where he's just raise hell, you don't care, bad guy. Because I don't think country music's had
There's
one of
that
those.
aspect. Yeah.
I did. And I'm
There's
just wondering how many of these apologies is Morgan Wallen going to have to make, and because he's not going to stop making stupid mistakes, because everybody makes stupid mistakes every day of their life. There's something that's a mistake that they do and they regret it, but this was a childish mistake. If he want, I don't condemn the word. I'm not saying you can say whatever you want, but for me personally, I'm looking at it as this: if you want to say it in your private home. No cameras are there. No one's there. You have the right to say what you want. But if you know you're in public, doesn't matter where you're at, on the public street, outside your house, someone that famous is always going to have someone peeping around, flashes everywhere, social media, it doesn't matter. You have to watch
I
out.
wonder. I wonder because obviously it was a neighbor that videoed it with their phone or whatnot. I
Mm.
wonder if this has been a reoccurring um, theme in his neighborhood where he gets drunk, he goes outside and gets into an argument or altercation, and then curses up a storm outside in the middle of the night in front of all the
Yeah.
neighbors. I wonder if it's been a reoccurring theme and somebody finally said, you know what, I'm gonna get this on video because this is just too much.
Yeah.
And they sent it into TMZ. Um, no, we've all got character flaws, every one of us, and to the one that condemns him and condemns anybody for their character flaws while sitting high under a throne, um, they need to look in the mirror. They've got the character flaws too. We've all got them.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but it's being more aware and more conscious of your character flaws, I think,
Yeah.
and and growing up and being wise. Now, listen, had alcohol not been involved, I doubt he would have been outside his house cursing. He's famous. He knows all eyes are on him.
But I don't think
He
we
would
can. But I
probably.
don't think we can blame alcohol for the outburst. I don't think we because if you're going to blame alcohol for what's happened, you can blame alcohol on everything. Then you know what I mean. Like
No,
I'm
I'm
not
not
doubt.
blaming alcohol. I'm not blaming alcohol on it. I'm saying the alcohol enhanced the situation. Um, um, because it impairs your judgment. If you're upset and you're soberly minded, and you're sober and you're upset, you may yell at somebody and argue in the house.
Mm,
Um, but now, obviously, we didn't see the whole situation on
right.
videos. So, but it appeared to me like either they had either just gotten home and were arguing out of the car, or he had followed the dude outside
Mm,
and was arguing. So, to continue the argument outside in public, um, I don't think that would have. I don't think anybody in their right mind would continue to carry on an argument in the middle of the night on a residential street, um, using profane language, almost getting in a fight, if not being under the influence of something. Um, but then again, he could have this whole issue where he he just wants to be a wild ass, a hard ass, and just go out and rock and roll, just live life, and he may want to raise hell and do all kinds of stuff, and say, you know what, I don't care about the fame. I know I'm talented. I know I have fans, and I'm not going to let anybody button me up or suit me up and tell me how I should live. I'm going to conduct my life the way I want to. And if that's his attitude, you know what? He's got that right.
mm-hmm.
We've all got the right to conduct ourselves the way we want. Um, Obviously, consequences ensue, but um, if that's the situation, then like what Bobby said this morning when Amy said, "Well, what if you just feel like there's not a problem?" I said, "Well, that's a whole different conversation altogether. We need to have." And if that's the case, and then that's a whole different conversation we need to have. But I think this is embarrassing to the entire community of country music. It makes his team look bad. It makes everybody look bad that endorsed him. It makes his fans, some of his fans, feel alienated from him. Feel like, oh my God, I can't believe he would behave that way and say that. And I'm sure he's got some fans that um, that that the N word is a word they use regularly. If you and I both live in the South. I live in Tennessee. You live in Mississippi. And like you said, you grew up in a home that wasn't a curse word. I grew up all my life hearing it, and I know people that will go as far as to say, I'm not racist, but
Mhm.
there's a difference between a black person and an N word. And they'll go on
Right.
to define, give their
Yeah.
definitions. And the fact that you would even justify it is disgusting and vile to begin with. Um, so, you know, it's inappropriate. I don't have much more to say about the subject. Um, I hope he can overcome this, and maybe it's going to take him losing everything and hitting rock bottom and realizing, wow, uh, it's because of a dumb mistake. Because I was being stupid. I lost it all, and maybe it'll take that to wake him up, and maybe he, at that point, uh, begins to work on himself. But he definitely, I feel like, needs to um, do some soul searching and looking within and trying to find the underlying problems, find the roots of the problems and the underlying uh, circumstances in his life that caused him to find himself in a center of controversy uh, on a regular basis at this point.
Um, Here's what I think is going to happen. Not that I've been around longer than you have. I mean, I'm only 23, but I've seen this in a lot of, books that I read and documentaries and whatever from the past about entertainment, musically based kind of topics. Is here's what's going to happen. He lost look, right now. He's lost it all. His music wise, he's lost it all. He's lost his record deal. I'm pretty sure I don't know this, but I'm thinking that they're going to pull his music from the streaming services as well, streaming platforms. They have it as of right now. They haven't, but I'm thinking they will within the next day or so. Also, I think that what's going to happen is he's going to go away for a while. He's going to go away, like I said, do some soul searching for. I'm saying 6 months. It could be a little less. It could be a little more. I'm thinking that in order to not please everyone, but to show that he's actually working on it, I think that there's going to have to be, if he's going to re-sign a record deal or something, there's going to have to be some therapy or rehab involved in that. And I also think he's not just going to have to get on social media and say, "Hey, look, I'm sorry." I'm thinking there's going to have to be some other big apology. Like you can't just get on social media and say, "Hey, look, I'm sorry." Now I know there's not a lot you can do for COVID, but there is stuff you can do besides just getting on social media and be like, "Look, I apologize." And I know a lot of right now, not a lot of people is going to want nothing to do with him because of what he said. I'm thinking maybe he could go on like Good Morning America or something along those big talk shows and talk about it. But right now is just not a good time. It's too fresh to talk about it with him. I mean, we're talking about it now, but it's just too early to have him come on and say what was happening. I mean, you can look at it, but
It's going to take after he comes back, people still probably aren't going to trust him. It's going to take a period of time
Mhm.
of behaving appropriately to start to earn people's trust back, I believe. And I think that's what it's going to take. Consistency over a period of time, people will start to trust him. No, there's some folks that will never trust him again, period.
yeah,
But that's
which you can't blame
unfortunate.
him for. You
But
can't blame him for.
no, you can't. But you can't blame him for it. But I don't. But if he tries to change or tries to get help or tries to do whatever he tries to do to save his career
Hmm.
or to please his fans or to shut up the critics, it's going to be a failing effort.
Yeah.
People don't change unless they have an inward desire to change, and he's got to find that within himself. That hey, I don't like this. I don't like this guy that I am right now. He's got to find that, and he's got to find a root of it, root it out, and heal it, and then work on his character and work on changing. Otherwise, you try to change for anybody else or anything, try to change for money, try to change for fame, try to change for anything other than because you want to change, it's going to be a losing effort. It is.
Mhm.
There's so many cases that are documented proofs and evidences of that. So many, and even in my own life, once if I didn't have it in here, it wasn't going to happen. It's got to start here. Maybe it hits here, you realize there's a problem, but then it's got to hit you here. You got to be pricked in your heart. Man, I don't like it. I don't like that I said that. I don't like that I hurt people. I don't like that I let people down. I don't like being this negative person that causes drama. Um, you know, that I lets my team down. A lot of people lose money because of something stupid I did. I don't like that. I need to change. And until that happens, unfortunately, I don't think it's going to change.
Yeah.
Um, and I'm not a naysayer. I'm not wishing negative on him. Like I said, I wish the best. I hope he can grow from this, learn and change, and I hope he can be um, mended. I hope the broken hearts can be mended. I hope people can love him again, and I hope he can find the success he wants. He's obviously talented, and he's climbed a mountain once quickly. I think he can climb it again, but he's got to work on his character and his
Mhm.
attitude and his heart.
Mhm. Yeah, it's like I said, it's he will come back. He will but yeah, he's got to find what he wants. He can't just. But I'm hoping now that this opened his mind up to look. Just because I have a name now doesn't mean I can do everything that I want. And I'm not saying that's what he was doing there, but I'm just saying from an outer perspective of probably what everybody's thinking. He just thinks he has money, he can do whatever he wants. We don't know what his financial situation is, but it's just I'm hoping now these dumb, immature decisions and mistakes that he has made is going to lead to a definite change.
I agree.
So I want to read.
I agree.
I want to read one article. It's not even an article. It's a tweet from CMT, and this is on them suspending and taking out all of Morgan Wallen's stuff. And CMT tweeted, and I quote: "After learning of Morgan Wallen's racial slur late last night, we are in the process of removing his appearances from all of our platforms. We do not tolerate or condone words and actions that are in direct opposition to our core values that celebrate diversity, equity, and inclusion." So I think that's the right choice. I think the right choice for country music is to stop playing Morgan Wallen for the time being. Um, just, I'm not saying people are going to forget about it or it's going to blow over. Because think about it. I mean, Hulk Hogan said it. You know what I mean? Dog the Bounty Hunter. There's a few others that have said it that have, like you said, went silent
Yeah, but they
for.
weren't in the prime of their careers. They were already established legends in
Yeah,
society and pop
but
culture.
I would think that would hit harder than just being in your prime career. I think that hits harder that they were older and they already had established fans and it had been 30, 40 years. I think that hits harder than just starting
I'll
out.
tell you why I disagree. I'll tell you why I disagree because what can you do to Hulk Hogan besides remove him from the WWE Hall of Fame? What can you do? You can't take his career away from him. He's already had it. You can't take his money away. You can fine him, but he's already got his stop money. What can you do besides slander his name? He's going to die a happy man. That dog, the bounty hunter.
But
He's
okay,
has
but
successful TV shows.
if they lose all of their fan base, which they obviously wouldn't because there's crazy people in the world that are like, yeah, get them in words, but it's just it. I think why I say it's easier for Morgan Wallen to overcome this than it is Hulk Hogan and whoever else is because he's big, but he's not Garth Brooks, George Strait big. Like I think if he was to that standard, if you were holding him up to that standard, I think it would hit 10 times harder because think about Garth Brooks. Imagine if he had said it.
Yeah.
Imagine if who's somebody, imagine if Tom Hanks just come out and said it. That would hit everybody hard. He would not get booked anymore. He would not get any more gigs. He couldn't sell anymore. He would lose all his fans. And I think that would kill you more than just losing your career. Than just, who cares if they have money? Who cares? It's the love that you have. And I think a little bit of that love was killed from me from Hulk Hogan saying that. And obviously, Morgan Wallen. I think some of the love that I have for Morgan Wallen, I don't condemn his personality, but I think his music is fantastic. And but I think now there's part of me that's just like, man, what do we do here? You know, but look, that's all I have. I don't know if you're done. I know you got another podcast here in a few minutes, so just figured we jump on here
Yeah, I
and
do.
because I feel like we would be lying to ourselves and to the fan base and to the podcast and to everybody else in the music genre for not talking about this, even though we're not the biggest people. Let's be honest, we're small. I mean, we're small in the podcast, but I think because we're so small, we have to talk about this because big people don't have to talk about it. You know, Bobby Bones didn't have to talk about it. Howard Stern doesn't have to talk about. You know, it's just. I think it's important that we do just so we satisfy, and this is where we're at with the situation. So I'm hoping Morgan Wallen. I doubt you're
Well,
listening. I know some of your friends. So I hope they put you on the podcast. Um, listen to me, man. Fan to musician. Straighten up, brother. Who cares? This is an accident. This was a giant accident. You need to stop making these stupidity and immature mistakes because this is going to go down to the road of it's going to lead to destruction in not just your professional life, but your personal life. It's going to lead down a road that you don't want to be down. It's going to make you lose friends that you thought you would never lose. It's going to lose respect in your family, respect in your fans. And I'm here for you. Um, that's why I'm saying that because I believe in it, and I'm pissed at you, man. I'm pissed off, really, and I don't
all
appreciate
right,
what
man. I think he gets the point.
I don't appreciate
I
what
gotta
he's done
go.
for the music community. But all right, that's it. Appreciate you guys listening
All
in.
right, folks. Sorry to cut it short. We're signing off. Uh, yeah. Bye.